Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the brand new show on Netflix, Dracula. This is a 3-episode long, I'm going to call it a mini-series because season 1 is literally 3 episodes. Each episode is an hour and a half long. Loosely kind of almost based on the original Dracula book from way back in the day. What's nice about this is it is scandalous. Absolutely scandalous. Like I said, hour and a half long episodes, go super quick. We start out with this in the 1800s. This lawyer from England is going to Transylvania to this Count Dracula's estate, mansion, castle, to prep him for his journey to England, because he's moving to England and he's buying property and all this stuff, right? So Dracula himself has been around for centuries, and he has a very specific palate of blood. He only likes upper class, aristocratic type of blood consumption. He doesn't like the drivel of peasant kind of thing. He has his undead collection in the bowels of his castle. He has experiments going on. He is a scientist, kinda, where he's trying to figure out what sunlight does, you know, what type of food affects what type of vampire, things of that nature. He's very experimental. So he's basically draining the life out of this lawyer. And then the lawyer escapes, falls into a river, after he's basically vampired, essentially, or sired, kind of a thing. And the vampire winds up in, not England, where does he end up? Budapest. He ends up in Budapest. So he goes from Transylvania, the river takes him down to Budapest. And why we know it's Budapest is because this nun constantly reminds us throughout the 3 episodes that she is from Budapest. From a, she's a sister from so-and-so, I was going to say coven. Isn't it a coven though, right? When your nunnery is a coven. Yeah, so it's in Budapest. So this sister, Agatha, is basically interrogating this ex-lawyer and trying to get his side of the story and why he's in Budapest and how he escaped Count Dracula and all of the myths and lores, and seeing if everything comes about. Dracula eventually tracks him down. There's this whole kind of nun execution going on, which is super gory and perfect horror because it's very thriller oriented as well. What would you do to survive? Or do you just believe in your false god, if you will? The nun herself doesn't truly believe, and she says, what does she say? Something like faith is for children and the hopeless, or something like that. I literally went, yo, when she said it. I thought it was so spot on, like on point, like right there, right? It was just great. Yeah, so then it's pretty much episode 1. Episode 2 is about Drac trying to get to England. He books passage on this ship called the Demeter, and he and a bunch of other guests are all basically handpicked by him, aristocratic or non-aristocratic, to then get to there. Now, this is a Netflix show, right? The guy who played Alexei in Stranger Things, right? I don't remember his name, Alex something. He plays one of the sea guys, sea hands, stewards, I don't know what you want to call it, ship hand. And I'm like, haha, Netflix show to Netflix show, I see what you did there. So I had a nice little Stranger Things kind of nod right there. It was pretty choice. So aside from that being all lit and dank, if you will, meme-wise, Drac goes around killing a bunch of people. He, you know, finds himself draining the life then of the nun that he met in Budapest, who kind of makes an arrangement with him, kind of. So while Drac is feeding off of her and she's essentially dying, or being sired, if you will, she's in a dream state. And in the first half of the episode, like, we see them playing chess in, like, part of his castle or something like that. Cabin number 9 on the ship is actually where her mind is. And it's this whole, like, twisty thing of she's on the ship, but she's not on the ship, but she is on the ship. And then eventually she comes through forth and makes a circle instead of salt, makes a circle of pages of the Bible to keep them away, and seeing if the superstitions are true, which they were. And it was just so badass having this whole fight scene on the ship. Eventually, the ship goes down. Agatha goes down with the ship. The captain gets killed by Drac. And then Drac is trapped in a box of his own soil and he is then hibernating essentially under the ground for 180 something years, right? Episode 3 fast forwards to now, 2020. Drac emerges from the ocean, from the sea, goes onto shore. Copters and trucks and cameras are everywhere, and this woman who looks exactly like the nun that we were introduced to in the first and second episode comes on, and then he's like, wait a minute, you have her blood, but you're not her. And then there's another battle scene. He escapes. He tries to adapt to modern life with the magic picture boxes and, you know, music and stuff and things of that nature. And he goes on his killing sprees, and he finds his goal is to find another bride to be by his side, something like that. So he finds this basic Instagram model, this Buford lady, as one of the undead children calls her. Basically sires her, kind of, but not really. But has this whole aspect trying to study him. And the aspect is this foundation that was named after the lawyer that he killed way back over 180 years ago. So Mina is the lawyer's like fiance, and she partners with that sister Agatha to like interrogate to see if John actually remembers anything, which he doesn't, and then he's eventually killed because he then tries to kill everyone. So Mina's money, because she was extremely wealthy, went into making a foundation named after her late fiance. And then it was to study and be ready for when Drac comes back. There's mercenaries involved, but they never actually explain where the money for the mercenaries come from. But it's okay. It's a loose end, but I'm not all that worried about it. So then it's just Drac trying to figure out how to stay the king. You know, the most powerful being, most powerful player in the room, kind of a thing. So he does his attacking everyone, like I mentioned, gets his bride. Essentially, she winds up being killed by this guy that she loves. He winds up going to tell the stories, and the agent, who is Agatha's great niece or something like that, she has cancer, so her blood is poison to him. So he can't actually drink her blood, but he knows this. So it's a matter of a murder-suicide at the end, where he literally kills himself to be with her in this dreamscape forever. It was like beautifully and poetically done at the end. I did not expect it to be rooting for him and her, because they're both dicks in their own rights. I thought it was very creative. Wild ride from beginning to end. I was very impressed. Hour and a half long episodes, 3 episodes each, basically a mini series. I wanted to win all the awards. I doubt it will, but all the guys at work keep talking about it, and I was like, I gotta see it. And I binged it, and they were all impressed that I binged it. I don't understand. Like, one guy was like, man, it took me like 4 days to watch it. And I was like, it's 3 episodes. They're an hour and a half each. You watch it on your day off, or like after work. And he's like, I don't know how you do it. And I was like, I'm a professional binge watcher. I know how to do that. Which leads us into our next review. Stay tuned. Mucho mahalo.